There you go. Now you should see now they should be coming in.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Tracy, I think you can go ahead and get started with the opening announcements.
Okay. Welcome to the Virtual College Fair for Hawaii students. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at strivescan.com/Hawaii. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at that same website. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenter.
Hi everyone, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Perfect. All right. Hopefully you can see my screen. All right, welcome everyone, students, parents, and educators. We all come together for different backgrounds, schools, interests, concerns. And despite these differences, we all have one common denominator. We're all people. People who are able to adapt to changes and ultimately want to make the best of the world we live in today. I'm Donna Ramos-Barsana. I'm the Associate Director for Pacific University, Oregon. I'm a former high school counselor in Hawaii and regionally based in my hometown, North Shore of Oahu. And I'm the admissions counselor for all the students from Hawaii who want to attend Pacific University, Oregon. So today we are going to focus on change in admissions, change in the college process, change you can make in yourself. As human beings, we adapt to change for survival. This has made us a dominant species. We will not focus on what it used to be, but what it could be. So students, in our own way, we are all chameleons. So right now is a time to focus on you. What are your interests? What are you passionate about? If your answer is, I don't know, that's okay. Today, we're going to begin exploring your interests so you can pursue your passion. The ultimate goal is for you to attend your perfect fit college. And with that, you're going to be able to select a major that identifies what you love and lead you to a career that will allow you to never work a day in your life. So let's start today. So we're going to start here. So no college is a one size fits all. Our goal is to help you find your perfect fit college. And we cannot base our decisions on what other people define as a right fit college. We can be influenced by their opinions because no one knows us better than ourselves. Only you can look within your values, look within your personality, your interests, and your goals to define your right fit. So as we look at the factors, we wanna really figure out what's important to you. You're not gonna know what exactly is important to you by learning more. You're only gonna know what is important to you by learning more and experiencing more from each college. We don't know for sure, but we want to explore these factors. And let's take a look at some of those. So you have your distance. Is it urban or rural? The size of the college, the student population, campus life. Is it public or private? The majors, the costs and financial aid, and of course the support. And when selecting a college, you don't want to select one of these factors, but you want to have multiple reasons why you want to attend a school. Because if one of these factors change or doesn't measure up, you don't want to you want to have other reasons why you have selected the school and have at least 5 reasons why you want to call a certain college your second home. So I've seen many instances as an admissions counselor when students are going through the process and let's say they pick a school because of a sport or because of a major. As you know, things can change with sports. You may unexpectedly get injured or may decide, you know what, I don't want to play that sport anymore. or you may change your major. So you want to have a lot of information on all the schools and all the different factors. So let's go ahead and dive in and talk about them. So when we're looking at distance, you want to determine what is your comfort level. Are you ready to move away from home and explore something new? Or do you feel like you found your happy place in Hawaii and want to explore options in state? There is no wrong or right answer, just the answer that is important to you. And students, don't be ashamed if you want to remain in Hawaii. I know some students will feel bad about it or be embarrassed, but you can create a new environment in your home state. People do it all the time. Adults move constantly to a different city in Hawaii, and suddenly they experience a new part of Hawaii. When you're looking at urban and rural, do you like the feeling of a small town when you can get to know the community you live in or its people? Or do you prefer the busy and exciting new life of a big city? Some people feel like they'll get distracted if they're in a big city like myself, but others feel like it's the only way that they can thrive. And so like for me, when I was living in Oregon, I liked, having access to a city but not be in the heart of it because I get distracted. So you're going to be able to determine what kind of environment you want to be in. So when we look at size, do you want to get to know your classmates and professors personally? Or do you like learning a place where you can meet someone new every day, right? So you'll have classes where you have big auditoriums, and maybe for you, it's exciting for you. For me personally, I know that when it's bigger, I kind of look at, I get distracted and look at people's screens. I doze off. So I need to be accountable. I need people to call on me. I need to sit in the front. And I've learned that about me as a learner. So you're going to be able to determine what kind of person you are and what type of size you want to have in a school. So when we're looking at other factors, another thing to think about is the student population. What types of students do you want to learn with? Do you want to go to a school with people who have similar interests as you, or work with people that have a completely different perspective? When you're looking at campus life, do you want to attend a school that focuses on academic pathways, school spirit, a place where you can participate in many activities, or a combination of all three? When you're looking at public and private school, just like high school, right? You had your public schools, your private schools, and they create a certain type of vibe and influence on your learning. Public schools tend to be larger, and scholarships are sometimes influenced by state funding and those types of things. Private schools sometimes can be smaller than state schools, and depending on the school, scholarships are determined by the college. So I recommend you applying to both types of schools, so you can make a comparison yourself. And I know I went to a public school and high school, and every time I talked about a private college, it always made me feel like it was going to be expensive. Like that's what I associate with. But you may be surprised that private schools actually can be cheaper than sometimes even in your state school. So you want to explore all your options. When we're looking at majors, so what are you going to major in? This is probably the question that you hear all the time from family members, and it can be overwhelming. You're not alone. It's okay to be undecided. I mean, I question what I want to eat for dinner almost every single day. And there are many schools where you don't have to declare your major till the end of your sophomore year. So you'd be a lot of time to explore your options. If you have time to explore your options and select your major, think about all majors as like a buffet, right? So you grab your plate, you pick and choose what you want, and you grab things that look similar or taste familiar to you. You grab things that you've never tried before, then you go back and sample all of them, and then decide what major tastes the best and what you want to go back for more, okay? So when we're looking at costs, another thing is that what is financially realistic for your family? Realize you won't have to know exactly how much a college is going to cost you until you receive your financial aid letter, which is later in the year. So for now, you want to focus on other factors and narrow your search later. For example, I tell students, compare the direct costs. You want to compare apples to apples. So direct costs are tuition, fees, room and board. You don't want to compare indirect costs like books, travel, and off-campus dining, because that varies from student to student. When we're looking at aid, colleges vary in aid offerings for students. Some schools offer a lot of scholarships where you don't need to apply separately. Some schools offer a lot of financial aid for a certain type of student. So explore all your financial aid options in your schools that you're interested in. And you can receive more aid sometimes just by communicating to them, just by talking to the admissions counselor, just getting more connected to the school. So keep trying. So now that we looked at some of those factors and to consider, and those are general factors, there's many other factors to consider. We're now going to discuss the changes in the college admissions process that will also affect your decision to select the college of your choice. So now let's take a trip down memory lane. Before COVID, gosh, can you imagine the world we used to live in? So like when we were looking at the admissions process, we used to focus on numbers in an application. So your GPA, your test scores. Many colleges wouldn't read your application unless you fulfill the numbers requirement. You could visit a campus and stay in the dorms, attend a class, have lunch with students, and go on a campus tour. If there were scholarship events, you could attend in person and showcase yourself face to face. You would have meetings with an admissions counselor and hopefully feel that instant connection with the university. All of these experiences would determine if the right fit, if you were a right fit for a college, and in turn, you would determine if a college was a right fit for you, right? So that's how it used to be. When we're looking at our current admissions process, so fast forward to today, we're now in the COVID area. So there's changes, both good and bad. I wouldn't say that it's all bad. So when we're looking at the admissions process, we now see a different criteria for the admissions process. We're focusing less on test scores and more on the general application. We're looking at your essays, your transcripts, your letter of recommendation, all the pieces that make you you. We can now visit any school from the comfort of your home. We can attend virtual events at colleges with students, faculty, staff, coaches, and admissions counselors. There have been changes in the way that colleges have provided aid to students. There's been some additional scholarships or more financial aid. Students are now having to create, try to be creative in learning more about a school through browsing websites, social media, virtual resources, and anything that you can do to feel more connected to the college. So now moving forward, we may see additional changes. So colleges may remove test scores completely from the admissions process and truly focus on the whole student. There may be more aid to help students afford their college tuition. We will also see high school visits that could offer both in-person and virtual opportunities for students. We will also have unlimited access to schools all around the world. Your college net, right? The net, you always say cast your net for colleges really wide. So now it's gonna be even wider, even deeper than it ever was before. And the options become endless. So now that we're in the new era of admissions, let's focus on some of those components. So when we're looking at admissions documents, we're looking at the whole student and now focusing away from test scores. Many of you hate tests. I think time and time again, I've always talked to students and they say, you know, tests don't measure who I am as a person. And it doesn't showcase who I am. So now is your time to shine. Show everyone what you're made of by working really hard on these documents. And communication. When you're in communication, students are changing the way they communicate with colleges. We have unlimited information and virtual resources to connect. When I recommend, when you're sending emails to colleges, don't just send like a blanket email to all your colleges and say, can you talk about your bio major? Can you talk about the scholarships? Do your research first and then ask questions to colleges. You don't want to embarrass yourself by looking like you didn't do your homework and appear lazy, because you could have just searched it in the search bar on the college website. So try your best to look at the college information and then ask your questions to the representatives. So now we're going to be shifting from a physical fit, where you get that feeling physically, to now a virtual fit. You're now shifting the criteria. You're looking at virtual visits, informational sessions, there's social media posts, emails back and forth, phone calls. The computer now has become our gateway to find our fit. So when we're looking at some of the changes, and some of the changes, there are changes in the way people have been awarded. So when we're looking at financial aid, financial aid offices will receive many letters from families now explaining their financial circumstances in 2020 because FAFSA only measures their 2019 taxes. So we may see just a wave of kind of to look at other factors within their situation because the FAFSA only looks at certain requirements. So for outside scholarships, there may be a decrease in outside scholarships from certain businesses that typically would give a lot of money as these businesses are working hard to stay open. However, we may see an increase in college tuition scholarships to help make college affordable and other businesses that survived during COVID. I know for us, we increased our scholarships by $3,000 every single year to help offset some of those costs. So a lot of colleges are doing the same thing. Scholarship events. So colleges are working really hard to create opportunities for you to remain connected with their university, especially through scholarship events. So for example, for Pacific University, Oregon, we have senior preview days and students only need to show up for 2 hours online on a Zoom. They can hide their video, mute themselves if they'd like, but they receive a guaranteed $4,000 scholarship. So that's something to note that a lot of schools are putting these opportunities that you can do virtually so you don't have to fly to attend those types of scholarship events. So now everyone has their role in the college vehicle, right? So parents, I'm going to focus my attention on you first. So parents, you are in the passenger seat. I know it's hard to be in the passenger seat. Remember what it was like when your child was learning to drive and you would slam on your invisible brake and anxiously hold your breath the whole time? This is part 2 of that. So you are their counselor, their cheerleader, the financial advisor, sometimes their lawyer, and at times you're just the chef, which sometimes they just need a meal and they feel really happy. So students, focusing on your role. You are in the driver's seat. You are in control of arriving to your destination safely. You need to make sure you have enough gas in your car, have the correct directions, practice the route to get there, take the correct precautions, and input the correct destination to your college GPS. You are the one that's going to be focused on this. But even though we have different roles, we all have the same goal, is basically find the best school for you and make you happy and lead to the career of your dreams. With that being said, we're going to focus and identify the changes that we see in kind of the different tools that we have to give you the foundation that you need to set forth and the tools you need to have with you. So we're going to talk about admissions communication etiquette. So focusing on email address. This is your name badge on all your college, on all your contacts to your colleges. So if you don't have a professional email address, go ahead and put one. You can also make a separate email address if you'd like, just for colleges, and add us as one of your schools or as one of your contacts. And then so none of that information goes to your spam folder. So that's something that you should do. Your voicemail box. This is now your home base for colleges to leave messages about important information. I cannot tell you enough where I would make a call and the voicemail box isn't set up. I can't leave a message because their mailbox is full. And a lot of times when I'm contacting you, it's for scholarships. It's because you're approaching a deadline. So you want to go ahead and make sure everything is set up and that you have a professional message, because sometimes we can't leave personal information on your voicemail box if I can't identify your first and last name. So, or just your first name so that we know it's actually you that we're calling. A word about messages. So email students are not text messages. So you want to be sure that you're writing messages that say, greet the person, ask them how they're doing, talk about your day, or talk about where you are in the process, and then conclude with, sincerely so-and-so. So you want to make sure that you're presenting yourself in the best light. Everything is tracked in the college system. So when you sign up for a virtual visit, when you are communicating with colleges, everything is tracked, and sometimes it affects your ability to receive an acceptance or not on a college scholarship or acceptance. So we're going to take a look and see. Let me just move this 1 second. So we're going to take a look at social media. I know this is a hot topic in the household, and parents, as you're listening, try not to nudge your child. But students, I'm going to give you some truth bombs. Social media is a reflection of who you are. Whether or not you like it, people are constantly drawing conclusions of who you are and what you represent based on your social media resume that you lay out for all to see. So as we look at it, does these posts represent me in the best light? Am I proud of this virtual resume? There have been instances where I've had a student who, and we all think Snapchat disappears. And the unfortunate incident that happened personally when I admitted a student, provided him with a scholarship, and he was looking to be our quarterback. Another student who had bad relations with him recorded his inappropriate Snapchat when he talked a lot of inappropriate things. And that person sent it to the dean, the president, myself, our head coach, and said, is this the kind of student that you want to admit and give a scholarship to? Unfortunately, my hands were tied, and I really liked the student. He just had a bad day, and unfortunately it caused him to not have the scholarship anymore. I had to revoke his admissions, and he had to attend another school. So don't get in that trap, okay, students? It's a reflection of who you are into your resume for colleges. We're not looking it up. Sometimes it just gets in our hands. So now we're gonna talk about how we can use social media effectively. Social media was meant to be a tool. So let's use it like one. You can go and follow colleges on social media. You can ask questions in their comments. You can get connected with students and staff. There are a lot of financial aid resources and scholarship pages, social media influencers that talk about college tips, and podcasts and YouTube videos that give tutorials or information on different types of parts of the college process. So you want to use social media effectively as a tool. So now that we're kind of talking about those changes, we want to look at the documents that enhance your application and improve your chances of being admitted and or selected for a scholarship. So let's look at the essay, the most challenging piece of the application. Wouldn't you agree, students? Colleges are not expecting you to be a philosopher of life or a mini doctor who saved people in third world countries. You're 17, we know that. So we want you to be 17 and showcase who you are. This is your chance to express what makes you you. So I want to give you the example of my favorite essay of all time. And she wrote an essay and she said, if you want to know more about me, ask me not what my favorite color is, but ask me how I eat a potato chip. And I was like, what? How do you eat a potato chip? So she doesn't eat folded potato chips because that means less surface area, which means less flavor. She's categorized them by shelf life. She's determined the average amount of chip per bag. But what does this tell me? She's detail oriented, she's organized, and she's kind of like Monica on Friends. But I tell students that she could have said, I'm detail oriented, I'm organized, made a whole list of how great she is, but she instead said how she eats a potato chip. Which essay would you read? And she actually got accepted into multiple Ivy League schools. So that's a note to self. So when we're looking at transcript, so this is kind of like your yearbook of courses and grades. Colleges like to see that you've challenged yourself, but challenging yourself it means different for different people. So challenging yourself doesn't mean you have to take 5 AP classes. Instead, we focus on the upward trend in your grades and the improvements you've made academically each year. If there's an area in your application that's not as strong, so I know that now we're into your senior year, so you can't make changes of the past, but there are areas in your application and essay forms or little short answers that you can talk about an area of your application that's particularly weak. So let's say, for example, you didn't do so well your freshman year. Talk about it, just briefly touch upon it, make it an aware part of your application and say, but here are all the great things that I've done since then. So you want to talk about, instead of focusing on the not good, you want to focus on what you're strong in. So activities. So examine all the activities you've been a part of for 3, almost 4 years of being in high school. So activities don't necessarily only mean sports, clubs, and the arts. Activities also reflect on what's occupying your time. What hobbies do you have? What interests? Community service? Do you help your family? I hope you can say more than just Disney Plus and social media. And if you can't right now, change, right? This is a time of change. So when we're looking at interactions, are you reaching out to colleges or are you having your parents do it? Remember, colleges will sometimes give points to students for their interactions with their college admissions and scholarships. Sometimes they'll give some like say, okay, this person has emailed me, this person has attended events. So everything is tracked. So I want to tell you one example that I had as an admissions counselor. So my director reached out to me. We had a big grant that came in and she said, Donna, I want you to pick your top 10 students and you can decide whatever criteria that is, you decide 10 students I want. I said, okay. So I looked, did I pick the 4.2 students? No. Did I pick the people who had 5 APs and traveled around the world? No. I picked the 10 students that worked with me through the whole process and communicated the most. And guess what? All of them received $7,000 each year. So $28,000 added to their financial aid package just because they interacted with me. So this is the last section because I want to open it up to questions. So we're going to focus on college process productivity, right? So this is going to be the tools that I want you to start utilizing to help you through this. So calendar, this is going to be your game plan. This is your blueprint. Map out everything so you can visually see what's coming up. Deadlines for applications, scholarships, events, things for school. This doesn't have to necessarily only be college stuff. It's just everything going on in your month. Our brains can only handle so much of information. So take the load off your brain and put it on a calendar. The next thing I want you to do is block scheduling. I know some of you have heard this kind of phrase before. So your time is valuable, but at times your time can be scattered, right? So make things a little easier and block out times for things that matter or are important. And you can set time limits, right? Set time limits on tasks that you need to complete. And you want to be sure you're keeping on top of that. It really helps. Don't say, okay, I'll check whenever I have time and look at scholarships or work on my essay when I have time. Block out those times, okay? We have at least, we have 24 hours a day, but I know we need to sleep, but you have so much time that goes wasted. Daily to-do lists. So to-do lists are now gonna be your new alarm clock, okay? So make one every night on what you need to accomplish the next day. Or as you lay in bed, instead of scrolling through social media, like I know we all do until we fall asleep, let's get yourself motivated to wake up each morning. Make that list. Star the most important items that you need to complete, and crossing things off make us feel accomplished. So let your lists show you that you didn't waste your time, your day, but instead of how productive you were. And you will eventually move one step closer to attending the college of your dreams by making these lists, okay? Another thing, break down your goals. Big goals seem overwhelming, like complete a college essay. That sounds so daunting. If you need to work on your essay, make smaller goals like finish my intro, finish the first paragraph. This makes a task less daunting and a goal that's more achievable. Remember, every journey starts with a first step. So you want to be sure that you're breaking it down and so you can achieve these goals and make it easier for you in the long run. Daily habits. If I were to ask you, what did you do yesterday? What would you list? Did you work on your college applications or instead avoided it and watched TV or played on your phone? So I want you to reflect on your daily habits. Bad habits can be broken, but it will take small daily changes to form good habits to reach your goals. If you're interested in learning more, read the book Atomic Habits and you'll see what I mean. So apps, this is something that I challenge my students to do. So we all have distracting apps on our phone. You know which ones I'm talking about. These apps distract you and occupy your time more than you're willing to admit. And I wish there was a social media scholarship. I've looked. Even when I was a high school counselor, my students like, Miss, is there a scholarship on social media or something, Snapchat or something? I said, I wish, I've been searching. Then everyone would go to college for free. So sadly, this is not the case. So I want you to create a distraction folder on your phone this weekend. Throw all those apps in there and place that folder in the far, far, far part of your home screen. or not even in your home screen, the next screen over, and replace your home screen with apps that are going to help make you more productive as a person and help you through the college process. So it can be apps for college, SAT apps, scholarship apps, shortcuts to college websites, the Common App, or anything with self-development, maybe a productivity app, maybe a calendar app, something, alarm, and get those notifications. So then when you grab your phone when you're bored, it will force you to open these apps first instead of the apps that are distracting you from your goals, right? You're going to see it first. You're going to feel like, okay, this is where my attention needs to be. And that's going to help you in the long run. So today we focus on the changes of the college process and the changes in you. I hope today that you feel a little bit more confident about the college process and feel equipped with the tools to make you successful. Remember, you are in the driver's seat. So I want to leave you with this statement. Olympians all have the same goal. What sets the gold medalists apart from the other contestants is their system, right? Gold medalists, silver medalists, bronze medalists, and all the contestants have the same goal. They want to win the gold medal for the Olympics, right? The difference between the gold medalists and the rest is the system they set in place to reach their goal. Smaller goals, daily habits, to-do lists, blocking out time, reaching out to people that will challenge them to do their best, removing distractions. Refine and change your system today so you can reach your college goals and win the goal. With that being said, I want to thank you all for being here with me today. I hope you learned one thing today and have a new outlook on your college future. If you need help with anything with the college process, here's my contact information. And if you're interested in Pacific University, Oregon, like I said, I'm the admissions counselor for all the students from Hawaii. There are instructions on how to get the fee waiver on pacificu.edu/apply now. That senior scholarship that I was talking about, the preview day for $4,000, that's the link right there. And I'll be presenting at 2 o'clock, session B2 if you want to learn more. And there's my email address and my phone number and direct line. Seniors, I wish you nothing but the best, and I look forward to seeing you make a positive difference in our world. Take care and aloha. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to questions. Let me go take a look. Is there a growing trend for four-year colleges to offer scholarships to transfer students, given the more students want to stay closer to home for the next? You know what, that's actually something that my admissions team and other colleges are talking about, is focusing on possibly more aid for transfer students, because we know a lot of them it's not about that they don't want to go to the college, it's just comfortability. So I know for us, we're making it easier for students to transfer. We're looking at our criteria. We're looking at scholarships. So I definitely agree with what you're asking, is there will be a change. I can feel it. We're experiencing it now. And let me know if you have any questions more about that, but we should get updates. As soon as we hear updates, we're constantly letting families know. We meet as an institution every single day. Where can we access the recording to this session? I will default it to our facilitator to know more of that information. Okay, so when you talk about frequently talking to college admission offices, do you mean like video chat with them like every week? So great question. So I mean more on, so you want to utilize, if they have virtual presentations or virtual visits or a one-on-one chat, you definitely want to sign up for those, because like I said, everything's tracked. When I talk about communicating with them frequently, I have students who will email me like once a month and say, okay, hi Donna, I just want to tell you all the great things that I've been, working on. Here's the things that I've achieved. Here's some questions that I have. Just update me. It's, we all, like, that's why I tell students it's about consistency and frequency. You don't have to talk to me every single day or every single week, but the more your name pops up in my head, the more that when my boss or people ask, hey, who do you have that's a great person for this scholarship, your name's going to immediately pop up in my head. So it's just being that person to communicate. I haven't received letters of recommendation from all my teachers. What's a polite way to ask them to get done? So I always tell students, try to give your teachers at least 2.5 weeks at minimum. I know I used to have to write them constantly for my students as a high school counselor. And as much as I try, the volume is so big, right? So first give them enough time. And then I would just make it known, be like, oh, Mr. or Miss so-and-so, the deadline is approaching November 1st. Do you think you'd be able to write that letter of recommendation, or should I look for another person to write my recommendation? And just be honest with them, and don't get offended if they say, no, I don't have enough time. Just redirect and find a new person, okay? Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much. If the college admission deadline is coming, should it be too late to start reaching out to college admissions now? Nope, because I think, like I said, today is a time to start looking and seeing how your habits are and behaviors as you're working with colleges. Start reaching out now. And like I said, you want to, be present with them, but this evaluation goes throughout till the day you set foot on campus. So maybe the admissions process has stopped. Maybe you've been admitted. Now we're looking at scholarships. What kind of scholarships can they offer? Financial aid. And then as I'm doing that, I'm working with the students saying, how can I connect that student with professors, with staff members, with clubs? So my thoughts are not stopping, right? It's not just about getting admitted, but it's making you feel connected and an integral part of our community. So the more you do it, the more we can be, oh, actually, you know what? I'm looking for a student to work in my office. Would you like to be hired? You've been so great through this process. So there's so many things that you could do throughout the process that may give you opportunities once you set foot in the school. So like the senior preview, there are other scholarships that Pacific offers. Yes. So I tell students, first apply, do the best that you can for your common application. That's what we use. And what I'll do is I'll keep notifying those students who apply by November 1st and even after. I know that during the November and December is kind of what my first wave looks like. And then I'll offer those different kind of scholarships that are going to pop up. But don't stop applying for outside scholarships. I'll do my part on scholarships within my school, but you want to go and apply to as many as you can, right? For the outside scholarships, because like for us, we accept all of them, all the outside scholarships. We don't have any max unless you cap the entire tuition, right? So keep sending us and keep applying, okay? Can you address that not all students should apply early, not fit early? Oh, yeah, so I tell students that, if you're not ready to apply, maybe there's a couple things that you need to still work on. You don't have to apply early. There's a lot of schools that this is just the preferred deadline for a lot of schools. This is kind of where you can have other opportunities, but doesn't mean you won't have opportunities, right? So if my student applies later in the cycle, I still have merit scholarships. We still have events, right? They haven't missed out on the entire process. And a thing to note is look at schools that have maybe rolling admissions, right? Rolling admissions can go till July. I had a student who applied to our university in June, and he said, I did all the things didn't work out. It just didn't work out for me in the school, things changed, and can I still apply? I said, yes, I can get housing, registration, everything done for you in 1 week if you turn in your application by this weekend. And they're like, okay, all done. So I tell students, it depends on you, but communicate that. Maybe if there's a school you're interested in, but you're like, I got a lot on my plate right now. We understand. We know that things are changing, and I can make note on that application. Let's say a student, I said, can you get your Common App, but all the other pieces you can send later. And I can make note that you can be still in the running for all the scholarships coming up. Communication is key, and let us know, okay? Because we're all here to help. Any other questions, my friends? These are all really great questions. Thank you so much. And I appreciate the support. What would be a good resource to identify and find outside scholarships? So first and foremost, I would talk to your high school counselor. I know that things are kind of up in the air with financial aid and scholarships because some of them have been businesses, right? Like I mentioned in my slides, some of them may not have that information out and available just yet, but your high school counselors will have information for you. And that's just for some of those local ones. Look at fastweb.com, look at some of the scholarships that have in the past, because a lot of times they're the same, right? They have to just change the date of when it's due. So I had students who applied to like 37 scholarships, but I want you to start looking at scholarships within your institution. That's the most money you'll ever get. Gosh, I give $15,000 to every student who's admitted every single year, but it goes up to $27,000. When are you ever going to find a scholarship like that? Right? By looking at all these other websites. Look at your schools first, your colleges, then talk to your high school counselors. Look at some resources within your state because they're a lower applicant pool than nationwide, and then start looking at FAFSA.com and submit your FAFSA. All of these things are going to play a big role in how much it's going to cost for a school.
Hi, Donna.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and do our closing remarks?
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll go ahead and answer these later. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback you can provide. Also, this was just one of many sessions being hosted, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions at strivescan.com/Hawaii. In about a week, you'll be able to find the session's recording, as well as all of the other session recordings at the same website where you registered. Thank you so much. Thank you again to Donna Persana from Pacific University. Thank you. You did a great job.
Thank you, everyone.